Ruger's Mini-14, like so many of their guns, is a bona fide American classic. Light, handy, and possessed of old-school good looks, it's hard to think of a better and more appealing general-purpose .223 rifle. For shooters who are sick of black tactical guns, or those who just want something a little different for tooling around on the range or in the woods, the Mini-14 fits the bill. But there's a whole lot about these guns that the average shooter doesn't know and doesn't consider, including some things that can really screw you down the line. I won't let that happen though, because in this video, I'll tell you everything you need to know about the Mini. Sound good? Okay, let's get going. First things first, you've got to understand, if you are a prospective Mini-14 buyer, that the Mini-14 is not an AR and will never be an AR. To seasoned shooters, this is a real no-duh moment, hardly a revelation. The Mini-14 uses an M1 Garand-style action, complete with rotating bolt and gas piston system, something that cannot be compared apples to apples with the direct gas impingement system and multi-lug rotating bolt of the AR. This comparison is not purely mechanical though. The AR-15 has a proven track record of excellent reliability in all conditions, robustness, longevity, and modularity. The Mini-14 is a nice little rifle and pretty tough, but nowhere near as durable or reliable despite the aspirations Bill Ruger had for the gun as a prospective M14 replacement. If you want to start running a Mini-14 in the mud, or subjected to intense, high-volume firing schedules, don't be surprised when the wheels come off. This will be a factor for some shooters and not for others. And that's okay. Not everyone needs or even desires an apocalypse-ready rifle. The Mini-14 has other advantages that serve it, ones we will talk about a little later. Okay, with that big caveat out of the way, the next thing you need to know about the Mini-14 is a rule that you should never violate. The only magazines you should ever buy, ever feed a Mini with, are Ruger factory mags, not Pro Mag, and not any other brand. Simply put, I have used them all, and use them in both legacy and modern Mini-14s and derivatives like the Mini-30. Aftermarket mags guarantee reduced reliability. It's just that simple. I know this might be a head-scratcher to some viewers, considering that plenty of other guns have a wide aftermarket of third-party magazines that work just fine, or in the case of the AR, even better than the original factory mags. It's just not the case with the Mini-14. It has a magazine that is more delicate than most other semi-auto rifles, certainly military-style rifles, and unfortunately, they tend to be expensive to boot. But if you want your Mini-14 to run like it should, you've got to spring for those factory mags. No exceptions. If you're going to lay one unforgivable flaw at the feet of the Mini-14, it would be its poor, even terrible accuracy. Accuracy so bad that it makes a ramshackle Khyber Pass AK look like a biathlon rifle. At best, most legacy Minis tend to produce accuracy around 3 MOA, even a little bit more. I have shot about a dozen examples from yesteryear that wouldn't even do 6 MOA at 100 yards. And yes, I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm on the trigger. I tried various loads, addressed likely issues, and came to the conclusion long ago that these guns simply were not accurate. By any standard, I believe, this is a design flaw. For a long time, even though they were aware of it, Ruger simply didn't seem to care. The gun was intended and marketed as a ranch rifle, something that would be shot occasionally and likely no further than 100 yards. If you could pot shot a coyote 75% of the time, that was mission accomplished. Naturally though, this poor accuracy made the Mini-14 entirely unacceptable and unusable for anything beyond blasting away at 50 yards or so. Why so inaccurate? Ultimately, loose tolerances, rough machining and casting, completely unpredictable barrel harmonics, poor iron sights, and mushy, nasty triggers all contributed to this lackluster performance. Luckily, the state of these rifles today is much improved. I'll tell you why and how much here in just a minute. But before we move on, do me a big favor and click like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content so far. Those 2 clicks do wonders for our channel, and by doing so, you'll get notified when we upload a new video. Thanks so much! Now let's get back to it. Starting around 2005, Ruger undertook a major product improvement program for the classic Mini-14. Tolerances were improved, casting and machining revamped, barrel geometry was enhanced, and a host of other small improvements added up to a significant increase in accuracy. These new guns, with decent ammo, will usually shoot between 2 and 3 MOA if you do your part. I understand that is not particularly thrilling for fanatical devotees of true precision, but this is more than accurate enough for self-defense, predator control, and hunting of medium and large game. Accuracy will likely be improved through careful load testing and selection. Happily, it's easy to spot these modernized, new and improved Mini-14s because they all have a 580 serial number prefix. Whatever you are buying a Mini for, you definitely want to snag one of these current era models. Much ado has been made about the Mini-14's trigger, on both legacy and modern versions. Fans and detractors alike will admit that it is nothing to write home about, even bad, with haters saying that it is among the very worst triggers found on rifles made today. This is overblown. It is true that the Mini-14 does not have a great trigger. It breaks around 5 pounds, has too much take-up, a fairly mushy pull, and only a reasonably clean break with a long reset. In short, it is uninspiring. But it's hardly terrible, and it is certainly usable. I think it's pretty comparable to a typical mil-spec trigger you'd find on an out-of-the-box, unenhanced AR-15. Now, a trigger like that does not contribute to getting the best possible accuracy from the rifle. But perhaps worse is that it is difficult to upgrade the Mini-14's trigger compared to an AR. Yes, there are aftermarket trigger components, and nominally, they even drop in if you know what you are doing. But nonetheless, these components typically require a degree of fitting and honing for optimal function, safety, and reliability. Most Mini-14 owners choose instead to send their rifles off to competent gunsmiths who have the skills and equipment to tackle the job. Sometimes the factory trigger is improved. Other times, certain components are replaced or an entirely new fire control system is fitted. Whatever the case, if you are used to the speed and ease of dropping in a trigger on an AR, you're going to be frustrated and probably disappointed attempting the same with your Mini. One of the most distinctive features of the Mini-14 is inherited from the rifle that it copied, the M1 Garand. The safety lever is a large blade, mounted vertically just on the left side of the trigger guard up front. Pushed forward is safety off, and pulled rearward is safety on. Some people see this configuration as advantageous and ergonomically correct. After all, the trigger finger can effortlessly click the safety off when it's time to shoot. Yeah, well, these people are wrong, and damned wrong if I'm being charitable. There's a reason why this design has been left to the dustbin of history, and that's because we've learned painfully that putting any other controls inside the trigger guard facilitates negligent discharges. Think about it. There are times when you'll need to go safety off with your rifle without an immediate need to shoot. So now we have to put our trigger finger inside the trigger guard and push forward to go off safe. That's bad procedure, considering if we don't have an immediate need to fire. we need to take our trigger finger back out of the trigger guard. There is not a ton of clearance inside the trigger guard itself either, so folks with larger fingers or anyone wearing gloves is going to be dangerously close to contacting the trigger itself during this operation. Now, putting the safety back on is simpler and safer, and can be done with either hand without putting a finger inside the trigger guard. That is, in theory. I've observed time and time again over the years that it is the trigger finger of the firing hand that tends to do routine checking of the safety among long-term Mini-14 users. Let me explain. Seasoned, skilled riflemen will almost subconsciously verify that the safety is still on when they are carrying their rifles for any length of time. This is to ensure that the safety has not inadvertently been disengaged. If this operation is being performed by the trigger finger and it's placed inside the trigger guard to touch the safety, you've got a lot more occasions when a negligent discharge can occur. It's a bad design, plain and simple, and one that is inherent to the Mini-14 no matter the generation. If you're going to go the distance with one of these rifles, you must practice and drill regularly so that you can click the safety off and then get on the trigger only when the decision to fire has been made or is very imminent. One of the most charming attributes of the Mini-14, its classic styling, can actually be an advantage in some situations. Even though it is a semi-auto intermediate caliber rifle that is functionally equivalent to scary military-style black rifles, most Mini-14s come with either a stainless finish and a plain black stock or a blued finish with warm, pleasant walnut furniture. In short, it simply does not look as scary or draw as much attention as an AR-15 or other tactical guns. Now, I know there's going to be people in the comments even now going on and on about how that doesn't matter because reasons, but I'm here to tell you that it can matter to certain people. If you live in an area that isn't very pro-Second Amendment, or just want to maintain a more wholesome, family-friendly appearance in all of your dealings and doings, the Mini-14 can fit into that strategy. Likewise, the Mini-14 might be entirely permitted in areas where AR-15s are banned by type. This is a niche advantage the Mini-14 has, but one that you should exploit and make use of if it's pertinent to you. Last but not least, if you need a truly compact truck gun, camping gun, or other rifle that is optimized for easy storage and portability, you've got to check out the Model 5895 version of the Mini-14 Tactical. With a side-folding tubular stock, flash hider, and bayonet lug, it's a bit closer to full tactical regalia compared to the standard ranch rifle, and it's quite easy to stow with the stock folded down, and it shoots with the stock folded. The bayonet lug might come in handy during riots or other periods of mass civil unrest, and the flash hider is a nice value add also. Compared to an AR-15 and other rifles which are considerably more bulky, I think this model shines and is a standout in the Mini-14 catalog. Okay, I think that will do it. That's everything that you should know about Ruger's classic Mini-14, including a lot of stuff that most gun gurus won't tell you. Let me know how you feel about the Mini-14 down in the comments. Is it a weaker competitor to the AR and other modern tactical guns? Or can it stand up to them on its own merits? Let's chat about it. And before you go, do make sure to hit like and subscribe so you'll stay up to date with all of our hot new content right here on All About Survival. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, make sure you shoot straight and stay safe.